So, this isn't the first or the last of my Auran Trainz playthroughs, but I figured I should do one for my Train Simulator history series. So here we're going to do the Queensland Railway intro scenario. Although they give you a message there which has a Conrail Jeep in it. I wish I had that model, actually. It looks quite nice. And anyway, I'm setting up the locomotive for the run, so the L key to switch on the headlight. And because we already have the high ball, I'll put the reverser in forward. I think that sound effect is maybe inaccurate. And open the throttle after releasing the brakes. The frame rate is a little bit choppy on this. That was not originally the case when I recorded it. I'm assuming that's the encoding from Open Broadcaster. By and large, this route runs quite smoothly on a fairly weak computer. I'm presuming that it's one of the older track routes simply because, I mean, it makes sense for it to be an older track route because it's an Australian simulator, and Auran Trainz only became popular after they extended beyond that, and I still don't see too many Australian routes being made for it even today. It's just not the most popular part of the world to do model railroading on. Boy, that frame rate is really bad. But that's Open Broadcaster. I might want to look into an update of Open Broadcaster to see if they have something that runs a little bit better now, but anyway. Moving right along. I'm not going as fast as I could go. I'm holding it back because most of the speed limits are under 70 kilometers per hour, so even though I have a few spikes in the speed limit here, I don't actually drive fast because I wouldn't make very much time. I'd have to be braking almost as soon as I accelerated. So there's a 70 kilometer per hour speed limit, but it's for such a short distance it doesn't really make sense to accelerate very much. Coming up on the right here is a little model kangaroo, because this is Australia. You can hear some farm animals too, because they have some cattle and such. So it says stop at the station. I don't like how it pops up in your face like that, but at least you notice it. So I start to brake for the platform here. Although actually it's quite a ways away, you can see that I have to go easy on the brakes until I'm closer. Like all the other routes, it helps to know the route from practice if you really want to get good results. Passing a freight train there. So then I stand on the brakes because I realize I've been a little bit slow to respond because I was waiting for the platform to show. And in the end I managed to pull up. Spotted more or less correctly. So I double check it here with the view number 2, and then I switch to view number 4. And then they give me a high ball before I even can check it. Showing the Conrail there. Conrail Jeep. I want to look up to see if I can get that Conrail model, because I really like it, actually. So here I'm going to release the brake, apply the throttle, and pull out. Again, I'm not going to go very fast, because the speed limits on this route just don't allow it. There's the map view, just to show that it's there. So the speed limit in theory is 80 kilometers per hour. I'm not going to go 80 because, as you'll see, the speed limit rapidly drops. And there's just no room to do that smoothly. And there's no advanced speed limit sign, which makes it a little bit hairy also. There's that frame rate problem again. I wish it wasn't so much of a problem to do videos of Auran trains, but Open Broadcaster doesn't agree with it 100% by any means. When I was actually driving this, it was fine. There's a crossing. $70K, I'm not going to do 70 because right up ahead I am going to have to slow down. Horrible frame rate again. 60K into the tunnel. Give me 80 again, but I have a town right up ahead I have to stop at, so I'm not going to really gun it here. They didn't give me a schedule to tell me whether I'm on time or not, so here I don't even know if I'm going on the siding or not, so I take it easy and whoops, I have to stomp the brakes. Or, I don't know, you could say it's a stomp if it's your hand, but I have to throw the brakes on, slow down to the speed limit, and then it turns out the speed limit isn't even being applied. So I still have a 70K speed limit on the siding here. So I'm not going to actually go 70, I'm going to creep up to the platform here because I don't know what my schedule is. Keep it going just long enough to pull up. And actually, this will be the last station, if I'm not mistaken. Because although it's supposed to trigger my completing the scenario when I reach the end here, for some reason it didn't trigger on this particular attempt. So I'm going to pull up and stop. And it will be the end, but it will not be recognized as the end. So I'm just going to have to quit manually. I think maybe I didn't pull up far enough, like the locomotive is supposed to be beyond the platform. But the size of the platform means that I don't actually have to pull up all the way to get all the carriages accessible. So anyway, here's some external views to show that I am more or less spotted correctly. But this should have been the end of the scenario, and it didn't give me credit for it, so it also isn't giving me a high ball to go forward. Now notice I've thrown the brakes into emergency. That's because on the Queensland Railways that's a regulation that when you're stopped in a station, you put the brakes in emergency while stopped. And that's not a completely unheard of policy in other countries. There are many railroads that have this policy. There are my way bills, because there's no freight traffic for me anyway. There are none. And see, I'm trying to find a way out, but that's the end of the scenario. Thanks for watching.